Alright guys, what's up? Let's really quickly talk about categories on Amazon when you're starting to do your product research, okay? So there's a few things to know, and some categories are gated, which means you need approval from Amazon to actually be able to sell in these, alright? Some of them are what I would term as automatic gating. So it basically you answer their questions and you request permission to sell there and you'll get approved. Other scenarios, it's very difficult to sell in certain categories, all right? So here, I'll put a link to these down below just so you guys can kind of look. But the categories and products requiring approval, so you have jewelry, you have watches, you have music and DVD, you have Blu-ray players and DVD players, collectible coins, fine arts. There's a lot of different things that you kind of need to figure out what you need around there, okay? So automotive, power sports, and so you can click on any of these and it will kind of break down for you what it actually is, all right? So it must be a professional selling plan and new professional sellers, independent e-commerce website that can be reviewed. So you have to have externally selling these somewhere else already, all right? So there's a lot of things and you can kind of sift through these to see what's going on, okay? And there's some general stuff in here, but that's just kind of what I wanted to talk about, all right? There's an overview of all the different categories, all right? So we can kind of start scrolling through these. A lot of these you don't need, to be approved to sell, and they're not gated, all right? So like beauty, for instance, camera and photo, and kind of keep going. Health and personal care, home and garden. So like grocery and gourmet food, so there's selling guidelines right here. So if we look in there, these are the requirements you have to meet, right? Your order defect rate has to be under 1%, pre-fulfillment cancel rate under 2.5%, late shipment rate under 4%, and then, it'll take you through exactly what they want for every single thing in here. So there's a lot of things that they need to, FDA approval, and there's a lot of liabilities that go along with a lot of these products, and that's why they have these policies in place, okay? So, they're very specific about, because they want to maintain quality across the board to maintain the reputation of Amazon itself. So that's just one thing to kind of note when you're going through these, that that's one thing that you need to kind of know when you start looking into something, all right? So like industrial and scientific, like there's not that many like actual criteria. So you have to have a pro selling plan, which if you're doing a private label, you're going to have anyway, all right? So proper research and comply with, all laws, basically, meet the product safety standards. And, so basically this is one that you could automatically just apply for, and I'm pretty sure you'd get approved after just answering their questions, all right? So there are a few categories that I do want to talk about though, because in here there are restricted items, okay? So you might see someone selling some of these, but they're essentially just prohibited on Amazon. So anything like explosives or weapons or related items, all right? So alcohol, you can't sell here. Anything that has to do with like drugs and drug paraphernalia, and some of these, lockpicks and anti-theft devices. So, blank keys can be sold, but all of these other things can't. So there's exceptions to some of these rules that, like laser products. Let's see kind of what's even in here. So you can have certain things, and they have different classifications that you need to be able to actually comply with. And these are harder categories to sell in. Anything that's actually going on the skin, in the body, anything like that, so dietary supplements, they have to make sure that these products are actually okay for, the people that are consuming them and using them. But here's kind of a list, so, sex and sensuality, tobacco, surveillance equipment, anything that could really be used either in an illegal way or that could be, potentially very dangerous to somebody's health. So those are a few things that I just wanted to kind of briefly run through, okay? So we can kind of go through an overview if we want to go back here. No, I lost it. Hold on. Let's go back. So if you want to figure out what's gated and what's not, you can kind of start going through here. So anything that, approval required, these are the selling guidelines, and, baby products might be for holiday selling. Books, you must be pre-approved. All right. So cell phones and accessories, collectible coins, obviously you're going to need to know. So, and if you're looking at a lot of these things, you just have to kind of go through here. Whatever you find your product in, whatever you might be interested in, you just need to kind of scroll through. But like office products, no. Outdoors, no. personal computers, pet supplies, like a ton of these you do not have to actually apply for approval for. Sports collectibles, you know, obviously they probably want to verify that what you're claiming you have is truly what you have. You know, video games might be required for specific products. Watches, you know, selling guidelines. You know, let's look at watches really quickly. So, you know, certified pre-owned watches is not accepting. So you have to actually apply to be a part of this is what it looks like, all right? So really, so here are your kind of selling metrics that you have to be within the product quality. We don't allow any used products to be listed in the watch category. Okay, so everything has to be new. You know, and there's just a lot of little things here, but when you're doing product research, make sure that the products that you're really looking at and the actual categories that you're selecting don't fall under these, because if you find a great product, you might not be approved to sell it. And especially if you ship it here and everything else too. I mean, Amazon will literally shut down your listing and like suspend you if you're selling a prohibited item. So if you're selling some kind of a weapon or something like that, then, you know, they will shut you down and then you're stuck with that inventory. As well as, you know, with you know, gourmet food, whatever else too, I'm sure there's a lot of precautions that go into that, especially if it's frozen food or, you know, depending on what you're doing. So just make sure you know kind of what you're signing up for, okay? So let's actually look at one other thing really quickly. So if we go to, let's look at today's deals. Let's go into sports and outdoors. All right, let's just look at, so TRX, this is actually not a bad example at all. So, all right, so when you're looking at products as well, the other thing that you need to start paying attention to is whether they are trademarked and whether they have a patent on them, okay? So here is the United States Patent and Trademark Office, all right? So I'll put a link to this below the video as well. And what you can do is you can come in here and you can search those kind of keywords. So note one thing, I'm not an attorney, okay? So when you're doing this, I'm just kind of showing you how to do it preliminarily. A lot of people ask, oh, how different do I need to be? Honestly, if it's even similar, then I stay away from it just because I don't want legal action against me. Note that Amazon isn't the one that takes legal action. It has to be the actual patent or trademark owner that then will file that. But this is also, I highly recommend trademarking your product, so if you have hijackers on your listing, then you're able to remove them as well. So just kind of do your due diligence, look these up. If you really want to know what's going on, I highly recommend, if there's like a product that you want to sell, something you want to get into, hire a local attorney and pay them for an hour, okay? You know, have everything laid out, make sure it's good, but have him actually sift it over to, like, so you have that peace of mind to move forward with that product. But let's just look at, so TRX, let's see if we can find this. Hemp derivatives, no. I do wonder if it's like fertilizer. So this might be a bad example. Okay, well, so I'm not sure if the actual TRX brand has athletic apparel that it also sells. But you kind of have to sift through these and actually find, you know, what is in here. Is it alive or is it dead? Because some trademarks actually wear off. Most of them are about 10 years. But that's, you know, one aspect of this whole thing. So let's just see. Conditioning classes. So I'm not seeing his, and I guarantee you it's somewhere on here. I'm just not going through every single one for example's sake. But what I want to do is, let's take these keywords. So that's how you'd go about doing that. Let's go over to Google Patents, all right? So just search that on Google. And let's see what comes up. So, I mean, these are power straps, so it's different. Exercise mat for use with TRX suspension training systems. I do wonder, you know, what the relation is. But you can come in here, and essentially you can look at exactly what these are. And, you know, there's different types of patents, okay? So there's basically a design patent. There's, a functionality aspect to it as well. So what does it look like and what does it do? But when you're on here, the biggest thing you want to see is, okay, is the product you're looking at even relatively similar? And then what you want to do is go all the way down. And the legal event, so, power straps, effective date, 2014 assigned. Usually it will also say if they've paid their fees. So if they're current and whether it's, still really in effect. But let's just see. Okay, so right there is when they expect it to expire. Okay, so just learn to kind of sift through these and take a look and see what's going on. So this is just an exercise mat that goes with it. But, again, you want to make sure that you're staying away from products that are super like all these other things. Let's just take that as an example. All right, so if you're in the electronic space, and you're looking at making a wireless mouse, there's a million different variations, but this one's specific. All right, this looks old, but yeah, 91, expired, lifetime basically. And so, but just so you can kind of see when you start looking through these, design, what they look like. All right, so here are the fees that they've paid, whether it's still good or not. You want to make sure you're staying away from patents like that. Again, I'm telling you should go hire a lawyer and work through it that way. But let's come over here and just look at, one or two other things instead of TRX. All right, so let's go today's deals. All right, so my guess is that water filtration, stoves, steamers, LED fixtures. All right, so here, electronics still. Tire pressure gauges, wearable trackers, smartwatches. Massage. So it does take a little bit of digging to kind of find what you're actually looking for, okay? You got to just be patient and kind of sift through these. Blood pressure, medical devices. Scales, okay? Weighing scales, all right? I just searched for the keyword because I was, I want to sift through all that. But that's kind of how I go about looking at both these, right? So make sure you're not in a gated category. And if you're looking, considering, and selling, something that might be an automatically gated that you can easily get into, look through the, the guidelines and fill it out and see if you get approved or not. And then also, when you're looking at products, make sure that there's not a, a very blatant trademark and a very, blatant patent. The thing about your trademark is as soon as you see this, that that word cannot be included in your product at all. Okay, that means your title, your back end, your actual description, your bullet points. You can't run PPC to it. You can't do anything like that. So this is, a big part of kind of when you're eliminating products and, sifting through that. And this is continuing off of yesterday's video of actual product validation. All right. So hopefully this helps. If it does, hit like, consider subscribing, and Facebook groups down below, come join us. We have a great community that we're growing here slowly. And anyways, thank you. Boom.